Yo, what's up everyone? My name is Andrew Warren, and in today's video, we're going to be doing our daily transparency update as usual. So if you're new here, that just includes me talking about my gains or losses with the portfolio for every single stock market day. And sometimes we have days like today where we lose multiple thousands of dollars. And then on the other hand, we also have some good days as well. And that's just the trade-off with the stock market, and especially Tesla stock, because it does tend to seem to have more of those extreme movements upwards or downwards. And that's simply a characteristic of holding this stock. And I think it's kind of a barrier for some people in terms of their risk tolerance for them to be able to hold Tesla stock. But I actually view that as an advantage for those who have a higher risk tolerance, because even if Tesla stock seems attractive to those with a low risk tolerance, the barrier for them owning that stock, like I said, is that constant volatility and movements up and down. So even if they believe in that stock, that's what holds them back, and that keeps potential good investors from buying the stock, which therefore means, in my opinion, that there's some opportunity out there for those investors that have a high risk tolerance and don't mind owning this stock because of the volatility, because we still understand where it's going in the future. And I honestly do think that there's some investors out there that actually have a pretty good investing mindset, but they just can't handle the stress yet. Maybe they haven't been in the market long enough, or maybe they're just used to holding index funds or ETFs like VOO or ARK or things like that, and they may be good investors, but like I said, that barrier that holds them back from owning Tesla stock is that stress of seeing it go up and down. But this is a situation where I think those who are long-term investors, and also those who have a high risk tolerance that are willing to risk it in terms of that up and down movement for that long-term vision, that's where we really have an opportunity. And I think that's a pretty solid opportunity compared to some of the other stocks out there, because keep in mind, there are some growth stocks out there that aren't as volatile as Tesla, but they still have pretty steady growth, and that's going to attract some of those investors that may shy away from Tesla stock. And because of that, I think that does provide sort of a window of opportunity for those that are willing to handle the volatility and for those that don't stress out about the market. And speaking of opportunity, as I always say, red days are what I view as just simply more opportunities in the market. It's a chance to buy shares cheaper than where it was at previously the day before. Judging from the movement so far, this is just another one of those days. And before we get into this, as always, of course, please make sure to smash that like button if you enjoy the transparency and the Tesla videos. But taking a look at the portfolio, as you can see, we are currently at a value of $243,696.95. And in the normal market hours today, we had a clean minus 3% drop. That is minus $7,580.77. And then in the after hours currently, we are at minus 0.44%, which is minus another $1,087.36. A lot of you all that consistently watch the channel already know this about me, but we have been getting some newer viewers here lately, so I like to really drill this in. But with days like today, this simply doesn't faze me at all. Even with a most recent larger dip where we dropped like 8% in one day, it was just really no big deal to me. And this is just another one of those times where I'm unaffected by the market. And to address this as well, I am a long-term investor in Tesla stock, but the only reason that we cover these days consistently, I do that to interact with you all, and I do that to keep a record of the portfolio. And I want my portfolio's growth to be encouraging out there for a lot of younger investors, or just investors in general that are wanting to get into the stock market and learn more about the stock market. But I think this portfolio will grow tremendously in the future over the long term, and I would hope that that in itself is at least encouraging for people to consider investing or learn more about it, because that's the first step. Once you start learning more about investing, that's when you become a little bit more familiar with it. Even if you just want to download an app like Robinhood or Webull, or check out a brokerage site like Fidelity or something like that, just get yourself familiarized with investing if you are new to the market, and just make an effort to try to learn new things about investing and the stock market every day. I'm honestly learning new things every single day, and a lot of that is mostly to do with like Tesla stock news. But even if you're just researching a stock, it gives you experience with learning about potential investments and studying those investments. And when you make decisions based on your research into a stock, either way a lesson is learned, because if that investment turns out well, then you're confident in the fact that you made the right decision based on evidence and reasoning. And if it doesn't turn out well, then it's a learning experience, and it may cost you in the meantime, but the information that you will learn from that, if you're trying to learn from your mistakes, that is really priceless. And although on paper that lesson learned might be at some cost, but really there's no better lesson learned than through experience. But I just wanted to throw out some of my thoughts right there about learning and the stock market. If you're wanting to get started, really the best thing you can do is just try to learn more about it. And especially if you're interested in it, then it makes it so much easier. I think that's one reason why I've been able to do well with the portfolio so far this year, which is just because I'm interested in the stock market and it gets me excited. And especially Tesla stock as well. Just their long-term roadmap and the progress in the meantime, that just really catches my interest. And I find it pretty fun to just even research news articles about this company. So that is one advantage to owning Tesla. I really want to emphasize though that in this video, nothing that I say or have said is to be considered financial advice. This is me simply sharing my thoughts and opinions about the stock market and Tesla stock, and also just sharing what I've personally learned through experience. For those of you that may have been early subscribers to the channel or simply kept up with this channel over the past year, you know that my portfolio has changed quite a bit, and that is simply because I've learned through experience. Most times they've been successful investments, and even on some times where I sold at a loss like with VOO, I used the money from that fund to invest in stocks like Tesla, where I've really made so much more back than that loss, and it's already performing much better than where I would be at now if I was holding VOO. So I'm simply just sharing my experiences and how I've learned through experience and changed my investing strategy since then. But this is certainly not a recommendation to buy a specific stock. I'm simply just sharing my insight from learning through experience and the value that I find in that, because that lesson becomes so much more valuable and you remember it easier when you've had to go through that experience yourself personally and you're not just listening to what someone else has said. But I think there's a lot of people that generally share really good knowledge about the stock market and investing, and especially on YouTube where we commonly hear not trying to time the market, being a long-term investor. All those are good things to consider in my opinion, and I apply those when I own Tesla stock every day because I'm a long-term investor. I don't try to time the market. I just simply buy when I have cash. I dollar cost average on it. That's just my personal preference, but I have learned through experience and I've adapted my investing strategies because of those experiences, and that has a lot to do with why I only own one stock currently, and that's just because I know that I can grow my portfolio much more by only owning one stock, but there's also a huge risk that comes with that as well. So it involves a lot of high conviction, a lot of research and things like that, and I'm certainly not recommending anyone else out there to own a single stock because it's very, very risky. Some people can do it successfully and then some people can lose almost everything by doing it. So I just want to emphasize that as well. But taking a look at the share price for today, we are currently at $607.54 per share, just a little bit over 600. And that's pretty nice considering that we recently just hit an all-time high of like around $640 some, and we're already back up near that, even though we had that 8% drop, which was pretty notable, one of the more notable drops in recent history for Tesla, at least over the past couple of weeks and past couple of months. The last time I remember a drop like that was like near the stock split or battery day. And I think that in addition to today, did a pretty solid job of weeding out some of these weaker investors that really aren't in it for the long term. And like I said in yesterday's video, I view that as a good thing because it just means that we have more long-term vision people holding this stock. And the more people that you have like that, then the less likely there's going to be a ton of people selling. And if there's not a lot of people selling yet you have a lot of people wanting to buy, then that's only going to drive the share price up even more. And addressing that as well, with this time frame between now and S&P 500 inclusion, I recently saw a news article discussing how a lot of index fund trackers and fund managers that are trying to replicate the S&P 500, that article was talking about how a lot of them are likely going to be waiting until near this December 21st date. I think technically that would be on Friday since that's on the 18th, and then you have 21st, which is on Monday. That article was basically talking about how there could be a lot of those fund managers pretty much buying as close to S&P 500 inclusion as possible. And when we think about the purpose of that, why would they do that? Well, for one thing, we all know that a lot of these fund managers and index fund trackers, we all know that they want to have a very similar growth trend or at the most outperform the S&P 500. And we know that they understand there's some risk with this run up between now and S&P 500 inclusion because the S&P 500 is going to have to buy at pretty much any price. It's mandatory. Whatever the price is at that point in time, they're going to have to make the purchase. So I think a lot of these index fund trackers, they're worried about buying at a higher price than what the S&P 500 has to purchase it at. So I think in the scenario with the stock market in general just being so unpredictable and Tesla stock being so unpredictable, that recent article that I read was discussing how they're likely going to try to make the purchase as close to the S&P 500 purchase as possible. And that means possibly a lot of people making purchases on Friday or just somewhere really close to that S&P 500 inclusion date. Because if we really think about the sense of that, the point of that is to make sure that they don't buy at a higher price. That's really the thing that the index fund managers don't want to do. They don't want to end up having a higher cost basis on Tesla stock than the actual S&P 500. And to reduce the uncertainty and the risk of doing that, some of them are probably going to try to buy near S&P 500 inclusion just to make sure it's as close as possible to when they're making the purchase. And that's really the best they can hope for, I think. If we consider the implications of this, though, this means that the last day, Friday, which is also, I believe, quadruple witching, which is when a lot of options expire, this could be one of the craziest days ever in Tesla stock history, in addition to that Monday coming up as well on the 21st. So in general, whether the stock goes up or down, I'm just really excited to see what happens. There's just so much speculation around this right now, and nobody really has any idea what could happen with this stock in the meantime, and especially that day before, the day of, and the days coming after inclusion. That's really going to be interesting to watch it unfold, because a lot of people are just speculating right now, and we don't know what to expect, but it could go either way. The stock could skyrocket. There's a possibility of the stock going down afterwards significantly with a sell-off. It could go anywhere, but all I can say is that it won't be boring. And as I've been stating over like the last couple of weeks, I said this would probably be one of the craziest months ever leading up to S&P 500 inclusion, and I'm really interested to see how this last week unfolds and what comes on the day of inclusion and the couple of weeks afterwards as well. But with that being said, let's take a look at the timeframes for the portfolio. For the past week, we're currently at plus 0.49%, which is plus $1,179.75. For the past month, we are at plus 46.65%. That is plus $77,519.58. For the past 3 months, we are currently up 55.21%. That is plus $86,684.72. For the past year, we are at plus 137.26%. That is plus $140,985.31. And then for the all-time chart, we are at plus 137.40%, which is plus $141,045.57. And taking a look at Tesla stock specifically, combining both the normal market hours and the after hours, we are at minus 3.11%, which is minus $8,668.19 in total. And then for the total return for my ownership of Tesla stock, we are at plus 83.20%, which is plus $122,465.39. Anyways, I just wanted to do a quick little portfolio update with you all as usual, just to have that transparency there. So please make sure to smash that like button if you enjoyed the video, and also feel free to check out my referral links in the description below. Like I said towards the beginning of this video, if you just want to familiarize yourself with the stock market or some of these brokerage apps, definitely at least just check it out. You don't have to buy any stocks, just feel free to check it out. And with these referral links, you can get a free stock with Robinhood, or you can get 4 free stocks with Webull, 2 for just signing up with my referral link, and those can be valued up to $250. And then you can get another 2 free stocks valued up to $1,600. And to get that, you would have to deposit $100 into your Webull account. But it's basically nice passive income, because you should be able to take that $100 right back out after you get your free stocks. That's what I did, and it worked for me, and it also helps support the channel, which I really appreciate. But I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I hope you have a fantastic weekend.